But what I took away from her talk was that people who live in rural areas, because of the use of pesticides, that sperm counts and testosterone counts are way, way down. They're really suppressed in those areas.
Stunningly.
And stunningly. And I mean, why that isn't front page news, I don't know. I mean, maybe there's a political side to it, maybe there's not.
This is also a recent finding. I mean, I believe it was 2015 when they figured out the phthalate connection with people's dip in testosterone, dip in sperm count, and then also an uptick in women having miscarriages.
But I would think that would be from, I don't know, maybe it's just the way my, but yeah.
But I think the problem is there's no solution. And so when there's no solution to something like that, plus it could harm the economy, like I think people panic. And they don't know what to do about something like that. If there's a thing and this thing has a solution, like, you know, like, oh, don't drink this, eat that. Because if you drink this, this fucks you up. But if you eat that, you're going to be good. You know, that's something that they would talk about. But when something like this, when you find out that the average person eats a credit card sized portion of plastic and microplastics every week, that's a real issue. And that's one, phthalates are one thing. Roundup is another one. This glyphosate thing is a real issue. And apparently it's in a lot of foods.
Yeah, I don't eat many processed carbohydrates. I mean, I look more and more at what we eat at home, and it's stuff not in packages. But
I don't know if you get away with it. See, I think glyphosate is a commonly used thing in just on crops. I don't know if, like, by eating clean, you're getting away from glyphosate contamination.
So, like, if I rinse the organic strawberries, I could still be ingesting glyphosate.
I mean, the problem is it's only legal. It's legal here, but that shit has been, like, eliminated from a lot of countries. A lot of countries don't want people taking that in.
I mean, I feel like you can do things to offset some of the damage, like getting sunlight, getting exercise, trying to eat well. But yeah, not direct compensation.
Look at this. Following the landmark case against Monsanto, which saw them being found liable for a former groundskeeper, 46-year-old Dwayne Johnson's cancer, 32 countries to date have banned the use of glyphosate, the key ingredient in Monsanto's Roundup weed killer. Okay, so it's an herbicide. Yeah. It's some scary shit.
That is scary. I saw Dwayne Johnson. I thought The Rock for a second. Different Dwayne.
Different Dwayne. It's a fairly common name, that Dwayne. But but someone, I was reading this whole thing about someone equating gluten sensitivities with glyphosate, because they were saying that how much of wheat is contaminated with glyphosate, and they were saying that may be what people are calling gluten sensitivities with some folks. It might be actually that.
Well, her talk freaked me out, and this freaks me out because I care a lot. Maybe I'm getting older, because I care a lot about next generation. I really do.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like I've kind of made it through the chute. You know, if I get hit by a bullet cancer or something tomorrow, like, I've had a really good life. I want to keep going, but and if you can't trust the food you eat, like, what can you trust?
Right.
And I'm not a paranoid person, but I like to think that we are emerging, or have emerged from the last few years, the whole pandemic bit, with people more focused on what they can and need to do for their own health.
Some people.
It seems that way, but then again, on social media, you get a limited window. But I worry tremendously that people are still waiting for some large governing body to deliver the school lunch that's going to make everybody healthy. Like I think it's very clear at this point that everybody has to take responsibility for their own health, and that's two things. That's learning information, and then trying the things that are going to, accessing the things that are going to work. I mean, that's a huge part of what my life's about these days. And this is why I find that whether or not it's a discussion about carnivore diets or vegan diets, I mean, I look at the debates around that, and I just have to chuckle mostly about the way that debates are playing out, because it's so theatrical, like Liver King on the one hand, and then these like dweeby vegan scientists, many of whom, I'm not talking about Stanford colleagues, of course, but others that are just like so combative in different spheres, and there's no solution to come from that.